decided to just stop recording. So that was weird, but we're back on the air now. Currently our target is well, we're headed over to Turtleford right now. That's our main area that we want to see. Now there actually was a tornado kind of developing. I don't see anything right at the moment, but this storm is still growing. It's in a very odd area. It's traveling like northeast or northwest, which is not very common. It's taking a really odd turn, which is going to enhance that risk for cold core tornadoes, possibly even a supercell, well, just tornadoes in general. Yeah, so we have a velocity. We have definitely some changing in velocity on that specific storm there. So we have to head over. We gotta kind of speed up a little bit to get over there. Now we're not gonna speed, but that's irresponsible. Wow. Yeah, this actually does, however, the storm over near Turtleford. I'm looking at the base of it. There isn't really any area that I'm super concerned about. However, if this storm can keep going for when the low-level jet kicks in, so the low-level jet is later in the day, the winds will just increase and we'll start speeding up. That low-level jet is going to increase the risk of our tornadoes today. So yeah, there are quite a few small, like scattered, unorganized thunderstorms trying to develop. But right to our right, it isn't visible quite yet. There is some pretty organized thunderstorm activity, and that's what we want. So we're heading over to the Turtleford area. We'll be there in about an hour, I would say. Maybe, actually no, probably even less than an hour. Beautiful. This is a very nice area in Saskatchewan here, folks. See, Saskatchewan is not just empty. Most of Saskatchewan is, I will admit. But once you start going north, you see more rivers. Even in extreme southern Saskatchewan, there's quite a bit of rivers. But the Battle River is beautiful. There's lots of valleys that go through. The Battle River is beautiful. Wow, I've never been here before, folks. So this is a new experience for me. Yesterday we were actually in Alberta. We saw a funnel cloud. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to record the funnel cloud itself because it was very, very brief. There was like maybe 3 of them, just for a little bit with a dying thunderstorm, but it didn't really amount to anything significant. Yeah, our storm right now to just to the east of us, it is showing signs of becoming strong-ish. If it does recycle, we're gonna get there's a very good chance the storm could produce something. A tornado, strong winds, maybe some small hail. It likely is producing small hail at the moment. But we're gonna have to see because we're not under it quite yet. I do know, however, it's very dark. And earlier last time I saw it, it was showing signs of still very much intensifying. So we are going to head to Turtleford now, folks. So we're turning right. Yeah, right here. It's a little bit to our north, however. So we're gonna have to go this way and then head north a bit. Now we did have a pretty good audience for our earlier stream, but unfortunately my phone just cut it off. So that kind of sucked. But now we're back. I did fix the problem, so it shouldn't happen again, as long as you don't lose actual cell service, which it is Saskatchewan, so that's very possible, but we're gonna see. Headed southeast right now. We're headed towards Turtleford. There's an intensifying thunderstorm in the Turtleford area, literally just northeast of Turtleford. It's looking quite nasty right where I'm seeing it right now. It's got a pretty nice top. Pretty nice top up there. I did see someone just comment on my old stream. Now I do know this one cut off. I have a new one at the moment. Is there still 2 running? Because I'm just on the way to Turtleford right now. There are people pulling in here, so that's a good thing. I had oh dang. Shoot. Yeah, we'll have to see here. Yeah, I guess I should have canceled it, but what happened was I have a thing that says, so it tells you to take a break ever so often on YouTube. And, oh, well, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it tells me to take a break ever so often, so it unfortunately just decided to stop the stream, which is very annoying, very odd, but yeah, now we're back. And this storm is the storm that we're looking into. It's developing a flanking line. According to radar, it's actually weakening, but ground-based, it looks like the updraft towards the ground is increasing. So the inflow to this thunderstorm is getting stronger. Now, to our south, these storms to our south is likely going to just be rain, because I don't see any areas. I see some smaller areas where there could be inflow, but there isn't any defined areas where there could be a strong tornado or any sort of really major weather hazard developing. But this storm north of northeast of Turtleford, it's going to be our main producer of some nasty things. I believe right at the moment it's recycling. The good thing is we are in the perfect area to see a tornado. So if we're going to see a tornado on this storm, we're going to see it from this area. So yeah, our arrival is going to take quite a while. We are on the way. We're headed to Turtleford right now. And it shouldn't be atrociously long. So folks, if y'all could just bear with me here. You're on our way. Chasing storms in Saskatchewan. So cold core tornado threat. Got someone from Timmins, Ontario. That's pretty cool. We got people from Ontario, people from Vancouver, all across the nation. So welcome, folks. I really appreciate y'all coming in and watching. Now we are going to be doing this, so we are going to be storm chasing all summer. So almost every single big threat that I see, hopefully we'll be able to chase. Now I do have a life outside of storm chasing, so I'm not going to say that I'm going to be able to go to every single major storm event, but I am going to be able to go to quite a few of them. There's one coming up. I don't want to say particularly where it is, but it is in late June. The CFS forecast model is actually showing quite a large event, a multi-day threat, a full week of severe weather. It did show over 4,000 joules of CAPE right in my area on one of the days. So that's not the only factor in storms, but if you do have really high CAPE, it is quite common for you to have those other things that develop with it. So a very good threat for a storm. Now, on our current thunderstorm event, I do see some inflow tails on this storm, so it still could be an intensifying thunderstorm. Now, one thing I do notice, the inflow tails they're kind of zooming into the southeast. The storm itself is building to the northeast, so that will give these storms an oomph. It'll kind of be like a chainsaw. When you use a ripcord on a chainsaw, it's going to be able to give these storms a little bit of a boost to produce a tornado. So these storms these are going to be our main cells of the day, folks. Now the radar does show them weakening, so we're going to have to see what they do. Now, one thing I do know, sometimes when storms move away from a radar, it can make an illusion that it's getting smaller because it's moving away. But really, the storm could be growing or just staying just as big, just because it's moving farther away from where the storms grow. I do see someone asking, how can I donate? I've been asking the same question, dude. I'm trying to get that stuff set up, but we're gonna have to figure that out later, because this is the first large stream I've ever actually done. Normally I get like 5 people to show up, but this is a big one. So folks, thank you so much for joining in. Yeah, at the moment we have some tail clouds. I do believe that the main cell that was near Turtleford, I do believe that one isn't going to be our main threat anymore. But it does appear to be recycling. There's another storm trying to develop, lots of inflow going in, lots of inflow tails, kind of multiple areas. Wow. Yeah, there are areas that I would see that have the chance of producing a tornado eventually. At the moment, not yet. But soon, once they continue to grow, then we're gonna see it. Yeah, we do have radar is showing storms. There is a headwind. I'm driving directly into a headwind right now, which is not very fun. So that means that I'm going to be spending way more money on fuel. But that is totally fine because I drive a truck. Well, thank you, sir, for liking and subbing. I really appreciate it. Or ma'am. I'm not really sure. I do see lady. So thank you, ma'am. Yeah, we're going to have to start focusing on these storms here a little more. They aren't looking... They are signs of being weak, but also showing signs of growing stronger. So at the moment, not a big storm up near Turtleford, but it has the possibility to become a storm. Possibly one of them big ones. So it was showing quite a bit of lightning, so there was lightning on this storm earlier. Now, if we look just to the south of that storm, so on the right side of the screen, there is another system right there. That storm is looking a lot more mature. Not intense, but more mature. So that one is something I'm going to keep watching. That could be one of our storms later today, folks. So it'll be a little while yet before we actually get under any storms, but one thing I do know... Okay, so asking about this year's tornado season. So this year's tornado season is a little bit weird. So now remember, I'm still not a meteorologist, folks, please remember that. I'm still in high school. But what I do know is we are going into something called ENSO. So we had La Nina, which is a colder airflow on the jet stream. It pushes the jet stream north. So now we're transitioning from La Nina kind of more into neutral conditions. If we do go neutral, there's a chance of El Nino towards the very end of the summer, maybe more into the fall. That could mean some stronger storms, but worse. So that's more U.S. storms. If we have neutral conditions, and the jet stream can oscillate, so that's also what's happening this year, is there's oscillation in the jet stream, which allows troughs and ridges to form. So that's when you bring your cold fronts with unstable air masses forming thunderstorms, and then your ridges, which form like hot, dry air masses to come up. Now, ridges can actually pull in a lot of moisture, so when you get that trough and you get that trigger, you can have those strong storms redevelop. So that is what is likely going to be happening this year. So it's very hard to tell, especially Canada-wide, but what my guess would be is that towards the start, so like right about now, we are kind of seeing a trend towards being more, like a little bit more active than normal. We're kind of sitting right around normal, but my guess is right as around the end of this tornado season, where it normally starts to chill out, we might start seeing just normal tornado activity. Now, normal peak tornado season is late June to early July, especially in the Saskatchewan area. Now, my guess is our peak tornado season is actually going to be later in the year, so maybe late July would kind of be my guess. Now, it's still like June, I do believe, is still going to be very, very strong, like a lot of storms, but that can always change. The forecast models do show a trend towards being a lot more storms and a lot stronger storms, so we're going to have to see. Now, I do recommend looking that up because, again, I'm not a meteorologist. This is kind of just going off of what Reed Timmer said and also kind of my own observations, but we're going to have to see. I do know that we did see some strong thunderstorms very early in the year in April down near Carrabber. We saw that. That was very surprising. I did not expect that. But there was a lot of flooding with that storm. It was mixed with all the runoff, which people in Saskatchewan know that runoff can be really messy, and especially when it's mixed with thunderstorm rain. Okay, now back to our current situation right now. Our storm that we were originally going towards, our inflow is actually getting cut off. So we only have a few areas of inflow. So this storm is likely going to fizzle out here within the next few hours. We do have an area that is looking like it's regenerating on it, which is very, very possible. Like there's huge cumulus development going into it. But now looking to our area just basically directly in front of us, there has been new cells that have popped up. So we're gonna have to see those ones. Right now, we're gonna keep on this storm and go north here, but not entirely sure about how strong this particular storm will yet. We're gonna have to see. It has been showing signs of weakening, but it could still recycle, especially later today once we get that low-level jet. That's gonna increase the risk of tornadoes substantially. Now, that is assuming, however, that there is still enough moisture. There is a lot of moisture. Like, I do believe right now is gonna be the peak time for severe thunderstorms because there's a lot of moisture at the moment. Okay, here we go. I can still see some inflow going to the storm. There's storms developing just to my left. Now we're gonna have to see here. Now I did see someone say that you need, that it's been kind of a cooler spring. Yes, you do need heat. You need heat for a thunderstorm. That is what increases that instability. It isn't just that heat you need other things mixed in with that heat, but you need low level, warm, moist air on the ground and then cold air above it. That is what creates higher instability and can form thunderstorms. Now, it has been a lot cooler of a spring than normal, but that actually is changing. There's a very strong ridge coming in. It's going to bring some really hot temperatures and possibly even some more thunderstorms later in the week. It isn't so much as hot and cold air meeting. It does have to do with that. So in order for a parcel of air to rise, it needs to be warmer than the air surrounding it. So if you can get a hot air mass that rises up into that cold air, it will condense and form a cloud. That will now start sucking more air in, and it'll build larger and larger. So the more of a difference you have between the colder and the hotter air, the larger thunderstorms that you can get. Now that is also still depending on the other atmospheric conditions like your dew points and your wind shear and other things like that. But it is a very big factor in it. You do need that big difference between them. This is Turtleford. I'm just gonna go right through Turtleford right now. This is a nice little town. I've never been to Turtleford in my life. Wow. Yeah, right now kind of looks like a quiet hour. Just quite normal, especially right before that low-level jet kicks in. Our low-level jet isn't supposed to be very strong today. So it is going to increase, but it's always going to be a question on how much it will increase. Right behind us, though, I have noticed that a line of storms is starting to redevelop, so we're going to have to see what that does. I am going to get on the just the other side of Turtleford here, and then we're gonna see what goes on then. Maybe we're gonna go north. Yeah, dude, there is a line of storms developing there are some lower bases in that. Well, let's see. Wow. Yeah, radar is showing that there might be some intensification in a new system over there. I want to get to an area where I can visibly see all what's around me, which right now we're in a valley, so that's not a very good area for it. But I do see we do have quite a bit of lower level clouds just to our west right now. So that is where you're going to get, that's going to increase the risk of tornadoes. Again, the farther down that the clouds are, the higher the risk of a tornado is. Yeah, I'm not entirely too confident about that storm now in just to the northeast of us. It is still raining quite a bit, but it isn't particularly going to be of concern at the moment. I don't think that that's going to be our best bet at the moment. Oh, we might have a funnel cloud here, folks. Looking just to my north, there's a rapid updraft coming in. Oh boy, yep, there's a funnel cloud, folks. It could be very oddly misshapen inflow tail, but I do believe that we have a funnel cloud. Oh yeah, that's for sure at least something. So this is just coming into Turtleford, Saskatchewan. We have a funnel cloud. It's very small at the moment. It isn't attached to a very strong cloud base, but it is attached to a strengthening thunderstorm. I am gonna stop here so I can show all of y'all. Oh yeah, that's for sure a funnel cloud. Yep, we have a funnel cloud here, folks. It's kind of starting to dissipate. It's one of those, it's like yesterday. I saw a funnel cloud yesterday, and it was just very quick, very brief. At the moment, it does appear to have vanished, but quite up there are a few areas coming down. Right in that area up, there's kind of a small funnel cloud starting to develop. It was very brief. It isn't attached to a very supportive environment for a tornado, but it still is that cold core threat. So that also means this storm could be building. But we're gonna have to see, because I don't have enough information. It was very brief, so that this could mean that inflow just got cut off. But we are going to see. We don't have much action going on, but there is still that re-intensification in these storms to our west right now. So we're gonna have to see. It's trying to get organized, but at the moment we don't really have anything. Storms are starting to build and get larger. And that's assuming that they can hang on here. Trying to. Yeah, it is trying to organize itself. Can't get much consistent inflow into it. Now, there is an inflow tail right about here. Watching that one, it doesn't have any indication of rotation, but the other one definitely did. Sometimes that does happen where when you have a really strong updraft, you can just get, like when you run your finger through a thing of water, so you have a tub of water and you run your finger and you kind of see those little whirlpools. That's similar to how it would work. It isn't identical, and it's on a much larger scale. And it's with air instead. So when you have changing in wind, air moving really fast up, moving into air that's moving really fast sideways, can sometimes do that. It's just, it can't get that consistency. So right now it's a little bit more quiet. The radar isn't showing much, but the tops are looking great on this storm. Yeah, that inflow tail is kind of more into a scud now. So still means that the updraft is increasing, even though it's a little bit, still not quite a thunderstorm. There isn't even any precipitation, but the inflow is increasing. I gotta get a better camera mount. I have to take off. I'm just recording with a phone right now, so I actually would have to take off the phone in order to manually see something. And there still is a little bit of action on that updraft, but not super intense at the moment. We did have a brief funnel cloud. Now that area of the storm is now gone. So there still is a little bit of clouds that are going up, but that main updraft now, right here, you can kind of see it's kind of has looked like a funnel cloud. There wasn't any indication of rotation though. It's trying. She's trying to get bigger. Lots of cumulus development. That is a good thing. A storm up near Turtleford has just lost our juice. It has lost its juice, so it is likely no longer going to be increasing. Okay, we're gonna have to see, because if I can check satellite, we can see how dense these clouds are. There's not much more, not any really intense action on that updraft anymore, but there definitely was quite a bit. There's a very moist air mass just moving in right now. Yeah, once these storms can re-intensify, if they can hang on there. Now, there is a chance that these storms might not re-intensify just because the storms have already passed through this area. Now, a lot less storms have. So this is the greatest area of not only instability, but also moisture. So that other storm that went through here, it can suck that moisture up, and it takes time for that moisture to start building again. And since the clouds are gonna block the sun, it's gonna lower the temperature, which will also stop air from rising. So that's why this new storm coming in here from the west, well, I'm thinking that might be our best bet at the moment. Up near Paradise Hill. Now there is a cell developing. It hasn't hit the top yet, so it hasn't hit the equilibrium levels. It's still in the development stage, and it's by itself. When you have a thunderstorm that's by itself, that's actually quite good, because it can take all that moisture in for itself. It doesn't have to worry about other thunderstorms cutting off its inflow. It can just develop. It can grow. Yeah, our action on that other thunderstorm, it kind of has stopped, but this storm up here, you can kind of see it hitting you can see it. You can see that top up there. Wow. Yeah, folks, it's going to be quite a bit before we can actually get to this storm up here. It is growing at the moment. That's why I want to get under it. Now, since today we have very low directional wind shear, or not directional, speed shear. So speed shear, it allows the updraft of the thunderstorm to tilt, which separate the updraft and downdraft. Right now, the updraft and the downdraft are just in the same spot, which will cut off the inflow into the thunderstorm. So that is very low. So when we get a storm that develops really big, it can very quickly choke itself out. There is still some speed shear, especially up more north, kind of where this storm is right now. That's why I want to go on this one. It is developing. It is headed directly towards us. I do want to get the road I'm on right now, though, isn't going to get me near it. So I need to find a dirt road. Might have to head back to Turtleford and go through that way. Now just bear with us. Just bear with me here, folks. We'll be here. We'll be there in a bit. And head back into Turtleford. That might be my best bet. There is also a cell intensifying just to the south of that one as well. Now, unfortunately, one of the radars in, I think it's both of the radars in Saskatchewan, I think they're down for maintenance right now. So we don't have very good radar coverage. It's very hard to be able to find which storms are big because right now I'm using the radar from Cold Lake. So it is very far. It's scanning really high in the atmosphere. So we're gonna have to see. I do need to turn around though. That top is starting to hit, so that storm is growing to the south. We're getting quite a few new cells. So the storm is starting to recycle. The only thing is the cold front is it might keep its juice, which is quite unfortunate, but we're gonna have to see because the outflow boundaries of other thunderstorms can sometimes start new ones. That's especially folks, my guess in about maybe a little bit less than an hour, probably 30 minutes, we'll be under just the currently developing thunderstorms. They're starting to organize. They are trying to start to organize, so we'll see here. Up near St. Walburg, Paradise Hill, there's a line of storms just starting to grow here. Also down in the Kerrobert and Unity area, could be some small thunderstorms. Maybe. They're not really severe. And they don't have a good risk of tornadoes at the moment. Actually, the radar in Saskatchewan has just gone back up. So the radar in Radisson, that's my main radar, it has gone back up. So it shows, it shows some intensifying thunderstorms near Paradise Hill. So we're gonna, it's kind of in a gray area. It's not at all is it not rich for storms. It just doesn't have very good radar coverage at the moment. One thing I am seeing is massive cumulus development south of us. Like absolutely massive. There are cells, now I never really saw them, but there are cells down in the bigger area. They don't look they don't look very mature though. It's very much just those pulse storms. We're gonna have to see. I do believe that at the moment these storms, if this storm just to our east, if it doesn't re-intensify, that's all the action we're gonna see of the day, which isn't a bad thing. We did see a funnel cloud, saw some really heavy and intense rainfall. Other than that, it was a pretty nice stream, but I do know in Texas right now, I think it was just an enhanced risk, so not a very big risk of storms, but still more storms down in Texas. They're robbing all of our energy. I do see someone that he said ingredients very rare for tornadoes in Canada. Yes, that actually is very true. But so Canada averages about 60 tornadoes per year. Now, one thing we do have in the US, especially Alabama and like the Dixie Alley, that area relies really heavy on the Gulf of Mexico to have moisture. But in Saskatchewan, there is a lot of grain farmers. All of when these crops here start to germinate and start to release all of its moisture, that actually can increase instability, dew points. It can actually give those storms the energy. And then we do have a lot of cold fronts, especially this year, with the jet stream being positioned right over like the northern US, southern Canada. With that jet stream oscillating like that, we could see some really big storms up in Canada near the middle of the summer, maybe, well, pretty much all summer. Yeah, this year, now recently, Canada averages, like I said, 60 tornadoes, but in the past few years, we have gotten closer to 100, 130. We had 129 tornadoes last year. That's our second highest count of tornadoes ever recorded. And Canada gets the second highest annual tornado count in the entire world. So the US is first with about 1,100. That's also still going up, but Canada is second with just over 60. But now it's going more and more. There's a lot of storms starting to build in Canada. It's just with those hotter temperatures, the hotter that it gets, the more instability that you can have, and especially with that jet stream pushing north. Sometimes, like in southern Texas and Arizona, it can get very dry and very hot. Sometimes high pressure systems, like last year, one of the reasons it was so bad up here last year is because a high pressure system sat over the US, which pushed the jet stream into our area. We just got, for about month of June, we just got thunderstorms. And one of them was not a big outbreak for American standards, but in Canadian standards, it was pretty big. We had, it was 6 tornado warnings all at the same time. A very large chunk. Environment Canada does tornado warnings differently. They don't do polygons. They do RMs. So if there's a thunderstorm, I went through the wrong road. Yeah, so if there's a thunderstorm that's producing a tornado, that entire thunderstorm and everywhere in front of it is under a tornado warning. So at a one point on that day, June 23rd, 2024, about a quarter of the province was under a tornado warning, which is insane. The southern portions of Saskatchewan were like just massive storms are going across. There was a really strong cold front that came through, and it was wild. I was chasing that day, but I got out too late. I'm lost. I don't really know where I am. I'm in Turtleford right now, but Turtleford is confusing. It's not your normal rectangle. It is busy here, though. I think I need to go right. Wait. Yes, I do need to go right. I remember this road. Yes, I know where we are now. This is where we came last time. I haven't checked the composites recently. I probably should do that. Now our storm, we do have some areas that is lowering on this thunderstorm right now. Not any main concerns, but I can see that our precipitation shaft has increased, so it has gotten larger. So this storm is now starting to drop more heavy rain. So it possibly is intensifying. Someone asked me why my screen is having lots of vibrations. I actually just have a little phone case because I don't own like a camera or anything, so I'm literally just using a phone to live stream at the moment. I just have a little bit of a phone stand for it, so it isn't the strongest phone stand, so it's very, whenever I go over a bump, it kind of shakes a whole bunch, and it's really annoying, but it's all I can do right now. Our storm up here, it is starting to organize itself. Now there are storms developing right in the front of it. That could actually steal a whole bunch of this storm's moisture. So right now, this is going to be the bang or bust at this point. So this is where we're going to know whether the storm's going to keep going. Not know, but get a general idea. So the outflow boundaries are kind of going everywhere at the moment just because it is pulse storms. That could stop these storms from fully developing. There's a lot of cumulus development, but it's very short-lived cumulus development. What I do see, though, is there are some lowered bases on that storm headed directly towards us, so I say we give that a shot. Is also quite a bit of some pretty strong cumulus development just to my north as well, so that's also going, it does seem there are new cells popping up and cells are intensifying. I don't really know what line this storm is developing off of, but it is. It's likely maybe a stationary something or other, because these storms are kind of just moving directly to the south. Very odd. These storms are they are losing its composure. I will say that. They are a lot less intense than they were earlier. It is 5 o'clock. So these storms are going to be at peak heating time. So after 6 o'clock, we might start seeing these storms start to dissipate. There are quite a few areas I can still see some updrafts. Still see some intensifying updrafts as well. So we're gonna keep going. We're not gonna stop here yet, but we are thinking about it. Okay, this is right now. This is the remains of what happened yesterday. We had a pretty intense storm yesterday. Near pretty much in western, like maybe central, maybe west central Alberta area, just east of the highway number 2 there. Some really strong storms. There wasn't any specific supercells, but an extremely strong outflow. Like I recorded a 102 kilometer-hour wind gust. And yes, I was all the way in Alberta. It was a very long drive. I drove 3 hours to get there and then chased for about 2 hours and then another 3 hours to get back. Very fun though. So kind of like the funnel cloud we saw earlier, quite a bit more organized than the one earlier, but it was very insane. Saw some hail as well, quite a bit of hail. Not very severe hail, but it was noticeable. Now we do have some rain in here. So these developing storms right now are growing. Thank you, sir. Or ma'am. Have safe travels yourself. Oh, a storm up near Paradise Hill is intensifying. So if y'all are seeing this, we do have some regenerating thunderstorms. So thank you all for watching. I'm very happy that you guys are here. We're gonna keep on trucking here. Almost, we're about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes from Highway 21. So we're gonna see. I did call her sir. Dang it. It's a problem. I do it way too much, even in real life, and it's very embarrassing. Come on. Yeah, here we go. This storm is starting to intensify. So the updraft, yeah, the top is looking still very looking pretty defined, a little bit wispy. Sometimes when you get those wispy tops on a thunderstorm, it could mean it's weakening, but it isn't. It's looking still pretty defined at the moment. It is also a very strong gust front just passed through North Battleford. That's likely our cold front. Absolutely wild. Lots. It's quite a bit of clouds that are just being pushed, but you can actually see it on radar. They filter it out in MRMS like most of the time, but you can see it if you have radar scope, which is pretty cool. Yikes. Oh yeah. Yeah, this storm, it's darkening. It might just be that we're driving behind it, but it is very much intensifying. Now unfortunately, I can't see any of the back of it, so I can't see the updraft. I am going west at the moment, right towards Highway 21. This is actually where we were earlier. We're gonna try and hit north. Now this storm is basically stationary, which is not a great sign. That actually means it's probably going to start moving away from us. But also can kind of see there is outflow on it. So there's movement towards the bottom of that storm. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is not a super strong storm, but this storm is strengthening. And there are lots more cells strengthening in that area. Now, MRMS is showing that these storms are intensifying. So there is some action, a little bit of action up on our just below the main cloud base. So right before the precipitation shaft, you can kind of see a little bit of storm development. It's possibly just scud. That's what my guess is. So that's just air moving upwards. But we're gonna have to see, because it is moving directly. It is hypothetically moving towards us. It's almost stationary, but we're gonna see. I did just get an update. The storm is looking stronger. Haven't seen any lightning within this storm yet, so that's always a concern with storms. So likely, if you're gonna get a thunderstorm, especially, that's normally when they're taller. We have a low equilibrium level today, so the storms, they kind of hit it and then they stop. So these storms they can get really wide, but they can't get super tall. The taller a storm is, it does have more ability to get lightning, because lightning is just cloud particles are kind of rubbing together and it creates electricity and that connects with the ground. Very basic of how it works, but our storms aren't very tall right now, which is a limiting factor in quite a bit of things. But we do have a base that's starting to lower. It is pretty getting pretty organized at the moment. Now behind this storm, we're gonna see what's going on. Oh, how's it going, Brody? Nice to see you on the stream. Now, yeah, just north of this highway is where the radar's showing this storm is. So a lot of our precipitation right now is still in the clouds. So that means that this storm could still be intensifying. Yeah, this is pretty much, so right now the only areas that are really getting storms in this area is Handle and Corrobert. There's kind of a line of storms developing there. But then in this area, this is probably one of the biggest storms right now in the area. We have quite a bit of movement right along that updraft and lots of very heavy precipitation core. It's been getting, the closer I get to it, the darker it seems. So it's dropping more and more rain. So we're gonna see, because we are not, at the moment, we're not in a good spot to see whether a tornado is possible. There is some movement on this cloud base, but this isn't likely the spot that the tornado is going to be able to form. I need to get on the other side of the storm. we're going to see. We're about to head on to Highway 21 here. About 5 minutes we'll be on Highway 21. Oh, that's a really intense precipitation core. It is starting to move now. So this storm is, yeah, it's moving. It just started tracking this way. So this storm is maturing. It is growing and it is intensifying. Now there is inflow coming into it. So there is quite a bit of movement. I'm looking at this area right here. We're about to turn. We'll be able to see it a little bit better, but there is quite a bit of movement. It isn't rotational yet, but it is what you would normally see in a strengthening supercell. Well, it isn't a supercell, but you might see one. Now again, we don't have much directional shear today, and that's going to be a limiting factor, but it's coming, folks. It is coming. So, supercell is, no, people think, because it says super, it doesn't mean it's a very intense thunderstorm. Now, statistically, supercells are the most violent and they are the strongest kind of thunderstorm. However, supercells, all it is a supercell has a rotating updraft. So that's called a mesocyclone. So when air is rising up, that updraft of that thunderstorm spins. So a lot of your really strong tornadoes, pretty much most tornadoes do form from a supercell thunderstorm that has that rotating updraft. They're normally with conditions aren't favorable for supercells today. We're a more cold core. So cold core supercells, they're just a lot weaker and it's not really, it's kind of just lower to the ground rotates. So lower to the base of the cloud. But oh yeah, it is starting to intensify. So a supercell, all it is has a rotating updraft. If that rotating updraft exists, it is considered a supercell and it can produce a tornado. Most supercells though, supercells are the most rare kind of thunderstorm, but they also are the most intense. Yeah, now we're starting to get hit with that range. This storm it's headed directly towards us at the moment. Oh yeah, it's definitely getting itself organized. There might be a slight area of rotation just looking directly upwards from here. Now, right in front of us, it's not very visible, but it's definitely trying. So this is up currently. This is just southeast of Paradise Hill. So that's where this storm is. Now, I actually am directly in the path of where the tornadoes would develop, so I'm gonna get north. I really do not want to be in the path of it. He's turning. Yeah, it's a very bright precipitation core as well, so there is a risk. There could be some hail in this here, folks. The northern tip of this storm might be where we see a tornado as well. There is a better risk on the northern side. There is a risk right where I am right now, but it's headed directly towards me. I do not want to be in the path of it. Spruce Lake up in this area, kid. And we are getting a little bit of rotation, but not very much. Now, I haven't had a radar update in quite a while, but this is still getting darker. Like, I'm driving towards it, and it's still getting darker. Normally, it does not do that. It'll actually get lighter the closer you get to it. Yeah, we're just getting hit with some rain at the moment. That's totally normal. But my guess is there's going to be some very heavy rain in this storm, folks. Maybe hail. Our storms aren't exactly tall enough to produce hail today, but it is possible. Now we got quite a bit of action on this storm, and it is growing fast. Now the radar is picking up a little bit of shear in this one as well, so we're gonna see kind of more up north on this one though. Oh boy, I can kind of see a front developing inside of the storm. This might be splitting into two separate cells. Wow. Oh yeah, here we go. We got some really heavy rain, folks. Large raindrops. Wow. They're not quite hailstones yet, but it's getting pretty big. If there is hail, it might only be, it's gonna be very small, but it is still very heavy rain. Wow. Wow. Yeah, so this is, it isn't super intense. We saw some more intense yesterday, but this is, this is north, Highway 21, directly north of Maidstone. Oh, that's really thick, so I'm gonna check really fast. I'm headed up towards Paradise Hills, Spruce Lake area. So storms are actually re-intensifying here, folks. Wow. Yeah, just rain at the moment, but up near Spruce Lake. We're gonna drive a little bit of just a roundabout here. No, right now we're northbound at the moment. So we're north. There's two much stronger storms to my north, so we're trying to get in there. Wow. Yeah, mostly just rain at the moment. Very heavy though. So heavy, thick raindrops. Now Spruce Lake, you guys actually have quite a big storm on top of you right now. I think we're buffering right now. We're up north, so there's a lot of hills here. So it's going to be a lot harder for me to hold a good connection on here. I'm not seeing much. Now that I'm seeing these cells in the north, they're not extreme. Like there's not a lot of precipitation falling. So we're gonna have to see now. There is actually, I am looking directly now to my southwest. There's actually some action starting to take place. And I'm in the perfect position right now. It's just that it's raining and I don't want to record in the rain. Yeah, this down here might be our best bet. It's this storm right now that's moving south. It's starting to organize itself. Now, there's two separate large cells up near Spruce Lake. The only thing about that is when you have two separate cells next to each other, they actually might cut each other out. Now, this other storm is looking less intense, but it's in a more rich environment to actually produce a tornado. So we're going to turn around here, back south. you're still watching this, thank you folks for hanging out. Earlier we had some a lot more intense. We actually had a funnel cloud that developed over Turtleford, but nothing more than that. I'm gonna turn in right here. There's a road here you can use to turn around. This storm currently, it's moving southeast, so it's moving towards more Battleford's area. If the storm actually does hang on, which I don't think it will, it likely is just going to hit North Battleford. Well, not just North Battleford, Battleford as well, but we're going to see it's not super intense. It is a lot of rain, but that's really about it. The inflow into it is trying to get itself reorganized, but it is looking a little bit more disorganized than it was before. I'm just gonna check my actual radar because I'm on MRMS right now. Wow. Yeah, there is a lot of action in the inflow to this storm. Spruce Lake, yeah, you guys actually look like there could be a big storm. Maybe even some hail in Spruce Lake right now. Yeah, correlation's lowering in Spruce Lake, so I would not doubt you guys in Spruce Lake are probably getting some hail. Correlation in this cell right in front of me, it's actually starting to go down, so there's likely just some very large raindrops, but not anything too serious at the moment. Now this storm down here, it actually was trying a little bit to form a tornado. It's kind of weakened just recently, but we're going to see if it recycles. It is feeding a lot into the storm, so this storm is still growing. I just want to follow behind it so I don't end up right in the main core.